Hey everyone, this is Jen and you're watching BPD Woman. In today's video, you are going to learn the answer to the question that you probably ask yourself a lot of the time. Why are they mad at me? Are they mad at me? What am I going to do if they're mad at me? Are they mad at me? So today I'm going to give you some insights into why you ask yourself this question. We're going to talk about its origins. We're going to talk about things that you can do in order to combat this worry and anxiety. And you're also going to learn tactics not to employ when you're feeling this anxiety. So let's get going. Again, my name's Jen. You're watching BPD Woman. This channel is for those of us with BPD or CPTSD, or just those of us with emotional regulation disorders or troubles. And you will also find assistance if you are a family member, and there is a playlist just for you entitled Tools for the Family. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but I am able to answer a question that none of those folks can, which is, what is it like to live with BPD? I was diagnosed about 20 years ago, and I believe that I've lived with the disorder for 30. I have done research. I've attended half a dozen DBT classes. I've done in-person, online, group therapy, one-on-one. I have the books. I do the research. I have a YouTube channel. You get it. I'm pretty committed. So if you're interested in positive solutions to recovery, then please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and that bell so you never miss a beat. I produce anywhere from 1 to sometimes up to 5 videos each week. Let's get going. How many times a day do you catch yourself asking yourself, are they mad at me? I bet they're mad at me. I haven't heard from them. Why haven't I heard from them? Are they mad at me? And a lot of these behaviors of BPD come down to two things. One, the inability to live in that gray zone, right? So not catastrophizing, not thinking because you haven't heard from someone in your given or set amount of expected time that they're somehow ignoring you or upset with you. And second is the ability to sit with the unknown, right? So you have this ability or this predilection to going into the black and white or the splitting thinking, right? Either they hate me or they like me, right? And sometimes you develop rules for that, right? So if, maybe you haven't heard from someone that you've texted and say 3 hours, you think they're mad at you, right? And then the other is this ability to be able to sit and wait it out, the ambiguity of life, right? The not knowing, the being able to not know. And that's really tough. And why is that? Well, you grew up in a very chaotic environment, most likely. And so you didn't have the answers, right? You lived in a state of chaos. You lived in a state of not knowing. And I say this quite frequently, right? That, you didn't know if mom was going to come home sober. You didn't know if dad was going to beat mom. You didn't know, how school was going to go that day. You didn't know if there would be money for food, right? And so if you live in this state of uncertainty for years and years and decades, and then it makes sense that you would want to have a certain amount of extreme stability growing up. In your adulthood and with your family and your job. You want to know, right? But you also have built in this trauma and this anxiety. And so that's the first reason why you think people are always mad at you. You have this anxiety. People blamed you. You didn't have the ability to question your parents. You didn't have the ability to be able to trust yourself, right? You grew up with a lot of shame. You thought a lot of things were your fault, or you were told they were your fault, right? And secondly, bad things happened to you, right? You became hypervigilant. You expected bad things to happen because that's why would anything good happen, right? You spent decades being abused or being hit or being gaslighted. And so now you live in this state of hypervigilance. And in some situations, hypervigilance is perfect, when you're in a dangerous situation, when you're in a sketchy neighborhood, and being on high alert, what hypervigilance is, and thinking that something bad is about to happen is not necessarily a bad way to approach certain situations. If anything, it's kept you alive. But in everyday, day-to-day life, thinking that something bad is going to happen, that can really wreak havoc on your emotional state of mind. So these are the two main reasons. You know, you have this anxiety and this shame, and you brought up everything that was your fault, and then you were abused, right? You were abused, and now you are on alert for thinking that something bad's going to happen. You know, perhaps your parents always found a reason to pin it on you, make it your fault, right? Why did you do this? This is your fault, right? So you're probably used to assuming a lot of blame, and you know, if your parents were mad at you, then of course, you know, you're going to grow up thinking other people are mad at you. So how can you combat this, right? How can you stop asking yourself this? Why do I always think they're mad? And let's review. Why do you want to stop this? Well, for one, it's not a comfortable place to be in, because I've been there and I still go there sometimes. Are they mad at me? I haven't heard from them. What's going on? I need the answers, right? And I remind myself, okay, I'm having trouble with this ambiguity right now. I just need to sort of settle down and let things play out. But the second thing is, the second reason that you may want to combat this or think about combating this question is that it's most likely affecting your relationships, your work performance, the way that you communicate with others, the way that you forge friendships, right? And so nobody wants to be asked constantly, are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? I haven't heard from you, because then that's going to get them kind of on edge, right? So let's talk about some reasons about how you can combat these feelings of anxiousness and stop asking, are you mad? Or even thinking and internalizing, are they mad at me? Well, the first piece of advice that I want to go back to, and it's an easy, simple thing to say, but it's a very hard thing, I know, to enact, which is you're going to have to be okay with not knowing and sitting in that gray zone. And ways that you can do this are by physically and actually saying, I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know what's going on right now. I don't have any reason to believe that they're mad at me. I'm feeling anxious right now, but I need to let it play out, right? I don't believe that I've done anything wrong. I have to let it play out, okay? The second thing that you can do here is to always be living up to your morals and ethics, right? You know, the more that you are confident and can say, I acted positively. I went through with the things that I said I was going to do. I was there. I lived up to my part of the bargain. The more positivity and mastery that you feel in completing those decisions, the less likely you're going to feel inclined to feel guilty or in trouble. So a lot of this, am I in trouble, can be really accomplished and suppressed with, hey, I've done good. I've done what I'm said. There's no reason. And again, that also goes to a self-esteem issue, being able to trust yourself enough to say, okay, I shouldn't be in trouble because I haven't done anything wrong. The third piece of advice here is checking the facts, right? So do the feelings match the situation, right? For instance, if you feel in trouble and you feel anxious, that's a very real feeling. And that can even lead into things like a panic attack, right? Where you feel like you can't breathe and that you have this impending sense of doom and you're frightened and you're scared and you feel like crying. In that moment, after some emotional regulation tactics and skills that you can enact to get yourself back to baseline so you can think clearly. Remember, you want to think clearly and in a regulated state. You don't want to act out on things when you're feeling dysregulated. Is that you want to say, okay, do these feelings fit the situation, right? So, perfect example. I had a client this week. She lives in the building, and the last visit for the dog was like at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I did the visit at 7 a.m. and she said she was going to be home that day. So I left her key under my mat for her to pick up. Well, 2 o'clock came, 5 o'clock came, and I didn't hear from her. And now, this dog's almost going on 10, 12 hours of not going outside. And now I'm feeling worried for the dog, and I'm wondering, where is the owner going, and when is she coming back? And so I'm trying to call her, and it's going to voicemail, right? And I'm trying to text her, and it's not showing me a delivered status. So what do I start to think? Okay, she's mad, right? She's mad at me. She's sending me to voicemail. She doesn't want to hear from me. Well, does that really fit the facts? I don't think so, right? She's paid me. She's been happy with my work, okay? She has got to come get her key. She wouldn't not make herself reachable to someone who's taking care of her animal. That doesn't make any sense, right? So what are some other explanations? Well, she's on an airplane and the phone is off, right? And that's why the things aren't showing as delivered and the calls are going to voicemail. So in that situation, I'm checking the facts, and I'm also, in a twofer, coming up with other explanations of why she may not be responding. And so I called her once, didn't leave a voicemail, and then around 8 p.m., right? So now the dog's almost gone 13 hours without going outside. I texted her and I said, hey, just making sure you're getting the key tonight. The last time the dog went out was at this time, so just let me know. Okay, that's all. That's, not, are you mad? How come you're not answering? None of that. And she wrote back, yes, just landed. Thanks for everything. I really appreciate it. So there you go. Not mad. She wasn't mad. The fourth and the most really important thing is to just being comfortable with people being mad at you. Because the more that you are actually comfortable with the idea that people may not like you or that you are in trouble, the more confident and comfortable you're going to be with this question, are they mad, right? You may say either they have no reason to be mad or simply, I do not care, right? I hate where I live, okay? On so many levels, morally, ethically, legally, there's so many violations of this management company. I'm just simply done being a renter, We'll have to see what happens to me in the fall. But I don't care if these people are mad at me. I don't care that they're mad that I call the fire marshal because my smoke detectors don't work and they've had months and months to fix it and they don't. I don't care that my water is not the correct temperature and then I have to call the city to make a complaint. You're going to do what you're going to do. Is this going to make them mad? Yeah. Oh, bloody well. I don't care. I simply just don't care. It doesn't mean that you can fly off the handle, okay? But it does mean that you have a right to ask for what you need, and sometimes people are not going to like that. Boundary pushers, perfect example. So, if you have low self-esteem, you probably have a hard time setting boundaries, and I've done a video about boundaries, so please check that out. Setting boundaries, it leads into your self-esteem and it helps your BPD recovery. People don't like boundaries. They don't like being told no. They don't like not being able to walk all over you. They don't like the status quo changing, especially if it means that what they've been getting in the past, so, you picking up the slack, you giving them money, whatever, they're not going to be happy with you then taking that away. For instance, my payment policy with my clients, my reoccurring clients, is that you pay me and that money is due by 5 p.m. on Sunday. And if that money is not due or received, if that money is not received, then you simply just aren't guaranteed your time slot. And I may give that away, right? And this is all documented in the invoice. This is all documented on the website, right? So it's very clear. I have created this boundary. And the thing with boundary violators is that you have to address boundary violations early and you have to address them sternly, right? So instead of paying at 5 p.m. on Sunday, I received a payment at 1 a.m. on Monday. So, she sent me something in the morning. Oh, the dog's not feeling good. Please check out for this. And I didn't even respond to that. I said, payment is due 5 p.m. Sunday. I said, next time, if somebody, the whole crew's here. The next time that I don't, and it's a cat butt, okay, perfect. Why are you mean mugging me? Just kidding. Give me a kiss. And I said, next time, if somebody were to ask me for that time, I would have given it away. And she wrote back, well, I wasn't able to pay by 5 p.m. yesterday. Not my problem. You're a big girl. Figure it out, right? She's like, well, don't I always have my reoccurring schedule set? And I said, yeah, so long as you pay. And then this is all documented in the invoice. And I said, so going forward, you need to pay by 5 p.m. Sunday, period. I don't make apologies. I don't get nasty. Okay. And I didn't hear from her for several hours. And so I thought, oh, maybe she's upset. Maybe she's this. But in my mind, I was like, well, then that's tough shit. That's the boundary. And if I don't enforce my boundary, I'm going to feel like I'm walked over, and that's going to affect my self-esteem. And that's just going to lead to like unhelpful, unproductive, ineffective BPD behaviors. So I'm okay with the premise that people are mad at me. So now that we've talked a little bit about why you're asking yourself this question, are they mad at me? And we've talked about some reasons and some tips on how to combat this. Let's talk about a couple of things not to do when you're in this state of dysregulation. Well, obviously, one of the very first things that you don't want to do is you don't want to lash out, right? You don't want to call somebody names. You don't want to blow up someone's phone, right? Like if I couldn't reach that person on the plane the first time, I don't make 5 other phone calls, right? Another thing not to do is to keep asking, are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Are you mad at me? Okay, that's going to give away your mastery and your power, and it's also going to make the other person feel on edge and like something is wrong. They might actually start thinking, well, should I be mad at you? Is there a reason why I think I should be mad with you? Another thing that's not helpful, the final thing that's not helpful to do is ruminate. And I know this is easier said than done, and I've done a very lengthy video solely on the idea of rumination, and so I'll put up a link. It's one of my most popular videos, so please check that out. Ruminating on this over and over and over again isn't going to help you get anywhere. And you may think if I keep thinking on it, I'm going to figure out a solution to this problem, or maybe I'll think about it differently. You won't. All you're going to do is increase your cortisol and your anxiety and your stress level. So instead of ruminating, what's a good distraction tip, right? Watching a movie, playing a game, going on a walk, doing something else, doing a phone call, listening to a YouTube video, whatever. You're just trying to get yourself out of this dysregulated state. My name's Jen. You've been watching BPD Woman. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you'd like to drop me a line in an email, please give me a shout at womanbpd@gmail.com. So that's WOMANBPD@gmail.com. Until I see you next time, in everything you do, please be effective. Bye.